be nervous. We're going to just use bits and pieces of the interview. So we're not going to use the whole thing. We're just going to kind of pick pieces here and there. Also, if there's something that you want to restate, if you say something and you're like, I don't like the way that came out, you can feel free at any time to say, can I start that over again? That way we get a good take. We want to make sure that you're happy with what you're saying, as well as, you know, us too. So the video will probably be about 3 to 5 minutes in length. It'll be you, and then we're going to cut to some of the paintings as you're talking as well. So before we actually scheduled the interview, I came up here and just snapped some still photos of each one of the paintings in here. So if you do decide to talk about one of them, we can show them as you're talking about it. Sound good?
Sounds good.
Okay, so it won't be you the entire time. It'll be you and then your work, and then I'll probably record a little bit of video of you during your artist talk, but I won't use the audio from that. That's just for visuals. Okay?
Perfect.
All right, does that make you feel a little better?
Yeah, I never get used to any of this.
Yeah, I know, it's super awkward, I'm sorry.
No, and the other thing is the language, you know, because all the other times that I've done it, it's always been in Spanish.
Oh, okay. Well,
so it's like, sometimes like, I might say something completely wrong, and I know it, and then I said it wrong, but then if I like fix it, it sounds even worse.
Like I said, though, we can fix it in editing. We can fix it to make it sound 100% completely smooth. So, and like I said, if there's anything you want to restate, if you don't like the way something came out, at any time, feel free to restate it.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. No, thank you. Yeah, I'm excited to chat with you about your work. I think it's beautiful, and I can't wait to learn about your style and kind of how you started all of this. All right, so just really quick before we begin, do your best to maintain eye contact with me. Like I said earlier, try and forget that the camera is there. If you can also do your best to answer in complete sentences, that'll be great. So when I ask you what is your name and how did you find yourself at South Suburban College, my name is Daniela, and I got associated with South Suburban College because Jack invited me in or something like that. Okay, you got this. All right, you ready?
Yep.
Okay, go ahead, Eric.
Go ahead.
All right, the first question that I have for you is, what is your name and how did you come to find yourself at South Suburban College?
Hi, my name is Daniela Kovacic, and I got to be here because of Sergio Gomez. Like, I got in contact with him because I showed at the Showbie Art Center, and then I met Jack. So that's how I'm here.
Tell me a little bit about Sergio.
Oh, well, so I met him when I just got here, so that's 2 years ago, and I got nervous.
That's okay. It's okay.
It's hard to keep eye contact with you because I usually tend to look at nothing. And then
Well, if you need to look away for a second, you can do that too. That's okay.
Okay, so I met Sergio when I came here like 2 years ago, when I just went to an exhibition because I was looking for galleries that would represent figurative artists. So I found him on the internet, and then I just went to his show and I say, hi, my name is Daniela, and then I show him my work, and then we've been in contact ever since.
Perfect. What's a figurative artist?
Oh, so a figurative artist is anything that you paint that would be actually recognized as a figure. It doesn't matter how realist or not realist is. It has to do usually with painting people, you know, instead of like just flowers or this or that. It's a figure as a person. So that would be figurative artist.
Got it. And then what originally inspired you to become an oil painter?
Definitely my dad. So my dad is an architect, and he would paint all the time at home. And I've seen that since I was like 3 years old. Actually, I ruined one of his paintings when I was 3 because I started painting over it. So I got in contact with oil painting at that age, and I haven't changed that ever since. So
you've been doing this since you were like 3 years old.
Yeah, right? But just ruining my dad's paintings.
Got it. That's awesome. Tell me about your upbringing. I know that you grew up in the Chilean Patagonia.
Yeah.
So can you tell me about your upbringing and how your past influences your work?
All my work is about my life experiences, so everything you see in my work is totally influenced by it because, well, at the beginning, I'm from a really isolated place. Not right now, really, because things have changed really fast because of tourism and everything and the internet. But when I was living there when I was young, there was not much to do. Right, so you have the countryside, and I had my house, and the weather is really bad, so we'll be always in the house. And my dad had a lot of books, so I'll be like looking through these art books all the time, and that made me get into painting also. With my dad would do that, right? And it was like it allowed me to imagine things, right? Because I wasn't bombarded with images or any other thing, so it allowed me to like be myself. Actually, when I started doing painting at school, when I traveled to the capital of Chile to study, so when I was there, painting wasn't something that was, it was frowned upon, because it was like, painting is dead. Like, why are you doing this? We're doing video art and installations and this and that. And I think because I was so stubborn, because where I'm from, I think it's the only way to get something done. So I just kept with what I wanted to do. So that has a lot to do with what I do now.
And where are you from?
Punta Arenas. Punta Arenas is the last town of, so if we have the whole continent of America right here at the bottom, it's the closest port to Antarctica. That's where I'm from. So it's the last part of this whole continent of America. So, right in the Strait of Magellan. I bet a lot of people read about it.
Definitely, yeah. So when did you actually move to this area from your country?
To Illinois, 2 years ago, exactly. Just exactly 2 years. 2 years and a month.
Okay. Can I just have you state that in a complete sentence? So I moved to Illinois 2 years ago.
Okay. I moved to Illinois 2 years ago.
And then one more time, can I have you just state in a complete sentence, I'm from, and then you could tell me your country.
Okay. I am from Chile, from the southernmost region of the Patagonia area.
Awesome, good job. And then tell me about the work in your series, Day by Day.
So, Day by Day is actually not a series. Day by Day, I created that title for like this show, but this show is divided in two different things. Like this area here, it's more about a transition when I just got to the United States, and then when I started to make a series, like a cohesive series, that's what's in this wall, and that series is actually called The Show We're In. So Day by Day has to do with my transition and how I go by with all these changes.
Interesting. And how can you explain your process when creating your oil paintings? Like how you...
Yeah, I mean, how do I start with this? So I usually try to have an idea first, but that never works for me. I'm always like, I need to have a concept, and through that concept, I'm going to move forward to get my images, right, to what I want to get across. But it never works that way. That's how I want to do it, but I actually get an image first. And I don't know out of where, but I get an image and I get really, it's like, I call them ghost images because they come and go, and I try not to talk about them, because if I talk about them, they disappear. So when I have them in my head, then I start doing sketches. When I do sketches and then I finally see what I actually want to say, because usually I don't know what I want to say until later, then I say, oh, this means this and this and that makes a total sense because it connects with other things, right? So when I have those images, then I look for my models, who do I want to paint, and I make them pose in like that way that I saw them, how I like, not really how I saw them, how I like constructed it in my sketches, right? And then I start with painting. I mean, not really with painting, I start with drawings. Sometimes I draw on paper and then I transfer it into my canvas, or sometimes just start painting right over the canvas, but it's kind of like a drawing but with a brush, right? And then layer by layer I start constructing it and building like a body, because I think the physicality of a painting is something really important. I mean, like, when I say physicality, I mean like the amount of impasto that you put, the way you like put your brush strokes, like all of that gives like second meanings, more readings into one image. So yeah, that would be it.
Your images are like so real. Like when I walked into the gallery, I was almost like, these are like photographs blown up. How have you been able to perfect such realism in your work?
So I always have like this, I had a problem with feeling okay with being labeled as realist, at the beginning because I never thought of myself as a realist, which is pretty crazy, right? Because I do things that are realist. But when I was associated with that term, whenever anybody would say realist, they would say, oh, it looks like a photograph, but I am not really aiming for it to look like a photograph. I really wanted to look like a painting. And a painting actually, it's not really worth it when it's just trying to imitate life, and I wanted to actually acquire a life of itself. So it's like another realm of reality somehow. But I mean, I think it's just, I mean, I got to like this level of rendering just being obsessed. Like I like form, I like texture of things, I like colors. I sometimes look really creepy because I'm in the subway and I'm looking at somebody. You know, I shouldn't be doing that. I'm just so obsessed with like forms. It doesn't mean that it's neither ugly or beautiful, it's just enchanting somehow, you know? So it's just through observation, I would say.
So the ghost images that you were referring to before, are you, when you're envisioning these images, are they people that you know that are doing these things, or are they just like these strangers that you kind of envision in your head?
They're usually faceless, kind of. At the beginning, my work was really into portraiture. In my work, I was really into portraiture. And faces was everything that would matter. Things have changed now. I feel like a person is more than just the face, like the body has its own language. So now when I'm envisioning these ghost images, I think that's a new term now. When I envision these ghost images, they don't have actually a face. It's just the mood that comes across. That's why I call them ghosts, because it's not a clear image. You know, when you dream something and you're not exactly sure what happened, but something happened. It's kind of like that.
No, I totally get it. It makes perfect sense to me. And you're doing a great job, by the way. I know that you said that you were worried because like English isn't your first language, but I completely understand everything. You're doing a great job.
Thank you.
Great job. Can you tell me, what is self-identity, and how is your work tied to self-identity?
So, well, all my work is tied to self-identity because it is about myself, right? I could paint anything else, but at the end, you're always doing a portrait of yourself. Even if I'm painting a kid, if I paint a man or whatever flower, right? It's still something that comes out of me that it turns into myself somehow. Self-identity, so it's, how could I explain this? It's anything that makes you be you, right? And the construction of self-identity is something really complicated and alienated, because you talk about self, right? About like me, right? But yourself is constructed by everything that surrounds you. You're constructed by something alien from you, right? Like, so I learned that I have a hand because my mom, when I was little, showed me hand. So she has a hand, I have a hand, right? So I am constructed by the other. So self-identity is a really complicated, I think, contradictory term. And I like contradictions a lot because I'm always contradicting myself. And it has to do with that all these paintings are me, but there's somebody else, but I am constructed by other people. So who am I? It's a question, I think, that never gets answered. I don't know if it gets answered for anybody. I think sometimes we know who we are, but if we really go deep into it, then it's like, yeah, I actually don't know.
One of the paintings that I just saw you gaze over at are the ones, are the self-portraits, right? Those are self-portraits of you, right?
Yeah, the triptych is, yeah.
That's what I thought. So how did you decide to include self-portraits in this gallery?
Well, so when I started painting seriously, I only did portraits of other people, but I actually just wanted to show myself. So it was really hard for me to paint myself. And after I did a series of paintings of other people until like 2010, I decided, I did one big series that it was just shamelessly about me. It was just me, and I don't care. I mean, I needed to do it. And I think right now I'm more at peace with it. And I paint myself because I think I am the best model for myself, because I won't get any criticism. Oh, it doesn't look like me. Oh, I don't like it. I have a big nose or this or that. And it's really fascinating how I actually don't recognize myself. Like I can see myself in the mirror and I'm like, that's me. But then I see a picture, that doesn't look like me. Oh yeah, but that's me. And then I see myself in the painting and I have to ask other people, is that me? Because I never know. So I think it's a really intriguing subject to paint yourself.
Did you work from photographs when you were painting yourself, or did you kind of envision what your poses were going to be?
No, from photograph. I think to just envision it would be like really hard for me, because likeness was never an issue for me before. Now I care about it. I don't know why, but I care. I used to think it was just superficial, but now when I actually get what I see, because it's something so hard to grasp, your self-image, like you see yourself and you don't recognize yourself sometimes, right? So try to grasp the likeness was something important, and I could only do that either by mirror or by photograph, and to be honest, to be painting from a mirror is just painful. It's really painful.
I could imagine that being super difficult too.
Yeah, plus you always have to be with this, like, you have to be looking, and then my painting is gonna be all these traditional paintings that are like, which I think it's really nice because there's something like captivating about them, but I don't feel like that right now. So maybe I'll do it eventually, but not now.
I completely understand what you're talking about. Another thing that you mentioned in your artist bio is collective identity.
Yeah.
Can you tell me what collective identity is?
So, collective identity is, imagine like a group of people and they all share certain like emotions or practice or beliefs. A collective identity is usually expressed through culture. And before I did this work, I was working in a series about Latin America. It's the first time that I actually felt Latin America. I'm from Chile, but before I never felt Latin America. Until I came here to the US. So when I talk about collective identity, again, it has to do a lot with self-identity too. Is how we are constructed by others and how our surroundings build us, right? And how certain social surroundings will make you be who you are, and has to do a lot with our collective selves, how we all feel a group. We all feel like belonging to something bigger, like belonging to Latin America, for example. So.
And I know that you, how is this show kind of tied to collective identity? Is it because all of these people that are in this show, that are featured in this, kind of are tied together through being in the same gallery together?
No, actually, the collective identity in this show would be connected through my transition from living in Chile and moving here. And in Chile, I felt that I really belonged there. I don't even feel that I belong to Chile. I belong to Patagonia, which is really not even Patagonia, Magallanes, which is a region of Patagonia. It starts getting more and more like a smaller group. And I lived there before coming here, because I wasn't living there for a while, okay? And then I came back to that land and I really felt that I belonged there for the first time in my life. And then I left it. And I felt like all my space was all the land around me. I belonged to like nature itself, right? When I came here, home kind of disappeared. I didn't feel I had a home. All that space got reduced to a tiny room, right? This surrounding right now, this is where I exist. Outside of this, I'm an alien, kind of. Even like, I don't know if you know, but when you start with the immigration process, they give you like an alien number and all that stuff, So it actually made literal sense at the time. And here, I felt that there's a lot of people feeling the same way. Their home is reduced to this certain space, and you actually don't belong to everything else, because we're all mixed up now. It's actually pretty fascinating, but I only feel comfortable in these small areas where I actually kind of believe that maybe I don't belong anywhere. And I felt this is a feeling that a lot of people have, right? And that's why I started painting a lot of women in the act of getting dressed, and really like an act that is a routine that is non-important, but we all do. It gives us a sense of purpose sometimes. And all these feelings, even though they're complicated and contradictory, they are collective, and that makes us a group. Yeah, I don't know if I explained it right, but
no, you totally did, and it's true because I'm not from, I'm from Midlothian, which is not very far from here, but I moved to Northwest Indiana, and when I was 12, and I felt the same way. I'm like, that was my home, and now I've got to like live in this new place where I know nobody. You know what I mean? So I completely, it makes perfect sense what you're talking about. Why did you originally want to move to America?
Oh, so I think I've been always like a gypsy, because I lived in Patagonia since I was 18. Then I went to Santiago, to the capital of Chile, which is like, it used to be like 4 hours away by plane. Now it's a little bit less. And I studied there, and then I moved around Santiago for a long time. Then I decided that I wanted to study more. So I applied for a scholarship to go to New York. So I went to the New York Academy of Art, and I lived there for like 2 years or something. But as a way of paying back my scholarship, I had to go back to my country. It's a way of retribution to your country, right? So I had to stay there either the same amount of time that I've been abroad, or I could be there twice the time that I've been abroad. It depended on which region you go, right? So I stayed there for like 4 years, I would say. But I was going to get married, and my husband is North American, and he really wanted to come back here. And even though I love where I'm from, there's also more opportunities here, like definitely. I mean, it feels, when you get here, it feels way harder. There's a lot of competition. Nobody knows you. In Santiago, like, I knew all the galleries. I was in the circuit. There was no problem, right? But, well, I got married, and I want to be with my husband, and we kind of made the deal before. Like I said, hey, go with me to, like, pay my time in Chile, and then we come back here. So I stayed true to what I said. So that's why I'm here right now.
Gotcha, okay. And then can you tell me about the poses and placement of your subjects, how you decide how they will be placed and what their emotional state is going to be? Is this kind of another one of the visions that you see before you paint them?
Yeah, I mean, I have like a general idea, right? Like this ghost image, which is an idea at the end. And then when I start making sketches, I get closer to what I want to depict, right? But then when I'm in the model, it's a totally different story. Sometimes the model gives me something different that I didn't know I would like, and then I like it, but I need to feel in tune, I don't know how to say it. In tune. I need to feel in tune with her body language. Like, it needs to be how I am feeling at that moment, right? And since this has been like it's not a downer, but it's a period of transition. So it needed to be with that kind of seriousness somehow, and silence. That's something I think is really important in my work, silence.
I think you capture that really, really well, especially with the work on this, and the work on this side of the room actually too. That little boy, in his attitude that you're able to depict in that image, it's just amazing. Your work is it's just beautiful.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I did that little boy. He's my nephew, and I don't know, sometimes I feel him really defying, and I really like kids have this really raw way of showing how they feel, right? They don't have much filters. So I was kind of feeling that way, and I was like, oh, I see him, I see you, I'm gonna do it. So it's always like a projection of my state at that moment.
Gotcha. And then, why do you choose to depict mostly women and children in your work? I know that most of this side, I think, looks like there's a woman in that image. But why do you mostly decide to depict women or children in your work?
Yeah, I always ask that myself because I've tried to paint men and I just don't feel it. It's like I feel more connected, and I paint what I know, right? And I feel I know what it is to be a woman, and I don't really know what it is to be a man. And sometimes what I felt attracted to paint some male models, it's usually been a really feminine one, you know? So I'm not quite sure why. It has to do with how close I feel to my subject. And then kids, even if they're like boys or girls, they still kind of belong to all of us somehow, you know? So I feel I could understand them regardless of their sex, right?
And we've all gone through childhood and growing up. I mean, even though we're girls, I mean,
yeah.
we would, play in the mud and actually, do that kind of stuff.
When you're little, you're kind of sexless, a little bit, you know? That kind of develops a little bit later.
It's true.
So.
Yep, absolutely. Who are some of the most influential painters to you, and why have they inspired you as an artist?
So, I have followed a lot of artists through my career, and I'm always changing. Oh, I really like this. Oh, I really like this other one. But I would say that the most important ones were the ones that I used to look when I was little, and that actually wasn't my choice. What was my dad's choice, because it was the books that he would buy, the ones that I would have access to, right? So I would say at the beginning it was Rembrandt, Rubens, then Vermeer, and the pre-Raphaelites, right? I used to love them, but it was more of a childhood thing, you know, because it's like tales. I could imagine a lot of things happening, but Vermeer was like really nice. Like I would say the narrative on Vermeer was given by the light, not their actions. And I think that's something that really struck to me when I was little. And then later, I really like, not really a painter, it's not a painter at all, but Bill Viola. He does videos. And I was like really shocked by his work. It has something religious in it. I'm really touched by religious stuff. I am not, but I don't know, it fascinates me. Like their iconography, and I don't know, there's something, I think it has to do with silence, you know? So, yeah, I think that would be it.
And then one of the things that you mentioned in your artist bio is depicting heritage matters. Did we touch on this a little bit?
I think we did a tiny bit. I mean, I talked about a series that I did before called Latin America. Actually, the name was Dear Latin America. And it had to do with the fact of feeling that I belong somewhere, just when the concept of belonging was really abstract. Like I was totally away from Latin America. It's the first time that I felt Latino, right? So I did a whole series about this. I mean, I don't know if it's in this particular show right now. I mean, if you really look into it, you could find connections, right? It has a connection of identity, but talking about heritage, I think it's more in the work that came before that make this work possible. So this wouldn't exist without the other one. So.
And then staying on the heritage topic, this is Hispanic Heritage Month. Mm-hmm. So can you tell me why it's meaningful to have your work actually displayed during Hispanic Heritage Month?
So I don't know much about Illinois and the universities here, but I thought that there was like a big community of Latino people here, right? And when I got to the United States, I felt that Latinos were all put into a group, right? Really stereotypical group, right? That has certain characteristics. But even as I didn't feel Latino myself, and then I realized, oh, I am Latino, there are tons of different expression of our culture, right? So I would like to be part of a group of people that will show that there are different things, like to the Latino community. Like we are really broad, we're expressed in really different ways, and the more people shows here like that are Latinos and they show different things, the better, right? It's just like expanding your knowledge about what it is to be Latino, because a lot of people that are Latino here have never been in Latin America either, right? So they have an idea of it, but maybe they don't really know how broad it could get. So I think it's a good thing to do.
Good answer. And then how long have you been showing your work?
Professionally, like since 2004, around, yeah. Because then I started showing like in museums, but in Chile, most of it in Chile. And then later I showed abroad, like in Paris, Berlin, and then later in New York. So, yeah, 2004.
Can we get that in the full
Yeah, I was going to ask her.
Oh.
Yeah, so can you just say that in a complete sentence? So I began professionally showing my work in 2004.
Okay. I began professionally showing my work in 2004.
Great. And then can you tell me why it's important to have your work displayed on a college campus for college students to see?
Well, when I was in college, my teachers would tell me, oh, you have to go to this, and this gallery. And then I would be like, yeah, I'll do it. But I'm really into what I'm doing at that moment, because college time is a really productive time, right? So you want to be in your studio, you want to be doing your stuff. And so there's little time to go see other things somewhere else, right? Unless you're really forced to, like you have to do a paper about this show, and then you go. The fact that these students have the possibility of going to see a show right where they are, I think is priceless. So I think that's really important, that they don't have to go travel all across Chicago, I don't know, to see something that they can see right here. I think it's a really good opportunity.
And then is there anything else you'd like to add?
I don't think so.
Okay. Great job, Eric. Anything you'd like to ask?
I was just thinking, you had mentioned Rembrandt and some other, what I would call classical artists when you were talking about your influences. Mm-hmm. And I was just wondering if you have an opinion of the classicals versus more the contemporary, which I would describe as the people who are more into abstract or pieces that have less realism. Do you have an opinion on that?
So I do like a lot of people that paint right now, contemporary artists. Those contemporary artists, for example, sorry, I was going to start speaking Spanish. For example, Luis Seña, he's Spanish, I really like him. He's still a realist. There's a lot of aspects of abstraction to it too. Then Jenny Saville, which I really like, she's still really realist, but there's also some aspects of abstraction. I don't see abstraction as a lesser art form. I really like it too. It's just that I feel more in tune with this type of art because it's something I understand. So I think is as valuable, the contemporary artists that do abstract work is as valuable as realist artists. It's just a different form of expression. The problem is that a lot of abstract art gives room for people that are not being really serious to do it, right? So then we start thinking, oh no, all the contemporary art is bad, which is not true. There are really good examples of it and there are bad examples of it. The same thing happens with realist art. A lot of realist art tends to be like really kitschy, which is not something bad. It could be also a style, but sometimes really like it feels naive or there's not much meaning or it's way too literal, right? So I think we have, in both realms of art, we have equal problems, you know? So I think we're in the same page.
That's a good answer.
Kind of like that with video too, actually. Now that everybody has a camera and stuff on their cell phone, everybody is just a professional.
Yeah.
Look, look at how great this picture
exactly.
is of my kids. I'm going to become a photographer for children.
Yeah.
But it's like, and not that the pictures are bad or whatever. It's just that having that so easy, like just right in your pocket, just kind of makes everybody a loose professional.
Yeah. Exactly. Anybody could be an artist, right?
Yeah, just anybody can be a videographer and shoot videos and
YouTube, we can just upload anything.
That's the thing, yeah. So Yeah, but the interview's over. We're good.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
You did a great job. I'll take